Hello everyone, Conor here. Just as a small disclaimer, some things we may talk about on the pod shouldn't be attempted or recreated. Remember to keep everything legal, keep it between the ages, and don't tear up the ground while you're on the pull. To be honest, it feels weird to be at home. It actually felt really weird to put jeans on today.
Because
I've had shorts on this past 3 days. Like, funny.
I'm not a shorts wearer.
So, Gemma got me 2 or 3 pairs of shorts and trainer socks.
I couldn't imagine you wearing shorts.
She got me them for whenever we done holidays. I think it was
2021.
2021.
Ring a carry.
Last weekend of July, first weekend of August. No, sorry, like the 30th, 31st, and then first.
Time you took the Type R in the big trip.
Basically, yeah. So she bought me them. That I was like, no, I'm not wearing them. Not worth the fuck.
Sure you couldn't, but you couldn't wear anything else. You couldn't go out there and wear jeans and brown shoes.
So, like, yes, they technically weren't really worn. They were pulled out of the wardrobe because I was at a stag do in Albufeira for Sean Ward.
Deadly.
And before it, Gemma was like, you're not going to wear fucking jeans out there. And I was like, really? She was like, no, look, like, it's fucking warm.
Yeah.
Oh, and I was like, I want to come across as stupid here, but no, like, I never really thought much about it. So, luckily, in a drawer that's never opened, there was the pairs of shorts and the trainer socks.
I have a drawer like that too.
And threw a lot of jerseys and a lot of t-shirts in. So it was literally just wearing different colours super dry every day, or else a jersey. But funny, whenever we went to a nightclub the first night, and the legs were that white, as I was telling Becca there, they basically were glow in the dark, because they never seen sunlight. And it's funny, like, the sides of my legs, there's no hair on them, because the wellies wore away. So I've literally 2 patches with no hair on it. Obviously, with being in Albufeira and being in the cars and all that, and agriculture, you have a look at around you,
Right, yes.
There wasn't much agriculture to look at.
I was wondering where you're actually going with
I think there was a lot of Caribbean silage being sold all the time. There was a lot of, shops like that. And fuck, it was brave and cheap. Like, you went into a shop.
Caribbean silage, or?
No, well, I didn't buy any Caribbean silage now. It was out of third cut shite, probably, What I mean is...
pure ground up stuff. Real fine stuff.
You'd think they'd fucking put it through, it was for a digester. But no, some of them bought a packet of cigarettes, and it was like fucking €8. And I was like, Jesus, like, we're getting pure robbed at home.
Oh, sure, like in Austria, it's like €5 or €6 for cigarettes.
Somebody else told me.
And Austria is still quite a wealthy country. They're just obviously putting the tax up here big time.
Yeah.
Obviously, they try and make people stop smoking.
And then somebody else was saying that some other country, I can't remember what one it was, that like packet of fags was like 70p.
Yeah, Andorra. When I was skiing in Andorra in 2014, so yeah, 10 years ago, a bottle of like your cheapest vodka was like €1.20. A bottle of Smirnoff, litre bottle of Smirnoff was €2.50. Pardon me, a bottle of Absolute litre bottle was something like €4.
For like,
cigarettes was the same, dirt cheap, because it's not an EU state, it's like an EEC state or something like that. So it's different tax laws. So basically,
yeah. For the other thing I noticed was we went into a supermarket and a couple of packets of Pringles, and I got I think it was 12-pack 250ml bottles of. Well, to be honest with you, I looked at the label, I was like, "Fuck you, look like Orchard Days," but it was called Bandita du Pomar.
Right.
There was a bit of laughing done at that now. By myself, and took it out of the cashier, and was like, fucking €8. No, sorry, €12. Bastard and Pringles were dear in the drink.
Fucking hell. A lot of them places are like that, but where if there isn't the same tax on alcohol, it's actually more expensive to drink soft drink than alcohol. So if you're like in the likes of Southeast Asia or whatever they got there, if you wanted to get vodka Coke, it costs say like it was like in Cambodia it was dollars. It was like $2.10.
Aye.
If you got a double, it was double vodka Coke. It was $1.80, and if you got a triple vodka Coke, it was $1.60, because it was more expensive for them to have Coca-Cola, than it was for them to have vodka.
Oh.
So the more alcohol you put in the mixture, the cheaper the drinks were.
Oh, very good, yes. Well, there's the other thing I noticed. So you went to a bar and say, like, I don't really drink vodka that much, but I was drinking vodka at the weekend. Because then, we'll put it this here way, like,
It's probably pure paint stripper over there, I would say.
No, it was Smirnoff.
Really?
Oh, it was
Surprised.
proper Smirnoff. Unless they watered it down, but whenever they were opening the bottles and stuff, whenever they're changing over, because they don't have, like, well, some of them do, but, like, most of the bars don't have, you know, the little metal spout.
They help them pour.
Yeah, they have, like, a thing you put in vinegar. So they
Right.
top it up and it dribbles out, you know. Right? But it's the fact that, you know, obviously in some pubs or nightclubs, they have the old tap where they are a pump and it pumps out the soft drinks.
Yeah. That's
I
pure
know.
water.
I know. Normally they fucking they do this into a glass, a wee shot glass, and then they put it in. This they just went and poured, and then they topped it up, and then see if there's a space left on the top. It was not the soft drink. It was the spirit.
Alcohol.
The spirit.
Probably the same thing then.
Hi. So, and the other main thing was Copperberg strawberry and lime. Probably my favourite to go to drink on draft.
Right.
Yes, it was nice.
I was going to say is it a Portuguese thing, but it's obviously not.
Well, to be fair, every one of the bars more or less nearly had it on draft.
Maybe it's a big thing then.
You know,
Suppose we'll be in a warm country and a lot of people want to drink cider, you'd imagine that, eh?
possibly, yeah.
But we're...
Sorry, the car side of things in as well.
I was going to say you can kick it in, the kick in the interest of the podcast.
The other thing I suppose I noticed was old cars live longer over there.
Oh yeah, Greece was the same.
Like I seen one. Well, it was an EP2 or else a diesel.
Right.
And I mean, she was stone mint. Had to have new headlights because the headlights could not have survived in that heat that easily.
Was
but
the paint damaged or anything on
oh
them?
Jesus, there were some of the cars.
Because
Do you mind the 206 had where they all bit the fucking out of the car into the shape of a 206 and they drove about in France on it?
Yes.
There was a fucking Fiat Punto on the way to the airport and the way back, and I swear to God, like it had barely a tail light on it, and it looked like half the whole side of it all, like as if they were like, fuck it, we'll just hammer the side of it, it's begun. Teacup when they took it out also.
See, a lot of them places, like Greece was like that, Malta was like that. I've never been to Portugal, but like any of them hot places tends to be, the cars, they're absolutely immaculate underneath, but literally the sun just cooks the lager off them, like. So like everything gets so badly faded.
And nobody buys like high spec cars out there. There's no S lines, there's there's barely an Audi about. There's no real S lines, it's all SEs.
Would Portugal be a wealthy country?
See, I don't know, I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, see, I think Portugal's kind of like, I was going to say nearly like Italy. Like, and Greece as well. Like, they're modern countries, they're westernized countries, but I wouldn't say there's the same maybe level of commonwealth or maybe just easy. Like, for instance, over here, it's easier to probably finance a car than it likely is in Greece or
Yes.
whatever, any of them places, because their country doesn't have as much inherent wealth.
Yes. But
Do you want to actually kick in the intro to the podcast? Because
no,
this
hold on a wee second.
it's dragging on too long to not have the intro.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
You'd be grand. Hold on a wee second. The other thing I want to say is Tuktuks. The wee yokes, like the wee single.
Aye, like the wee
are they-
three-seater yokes.
Aye, no,
Are they in Portugal as well?
Aye, wee five-seater
Not
yokes.
three-seater yoke.
Five-seater yoke.
Three-wheel yoke.
Aye.
They are a fucking death trap on wheels.
Oh,
if you throw the driver more money, they'll go faster.
Do they?
Well,
No, I just said €20 take you anywhere. We're like airport.
They did in Vietnam. If you threw a bit more money at them, because we did tuk-tuk racing on the way back from nightclubs. There's maybe 5 of us bundled into one, 5 of us bundled into the other, and we were driving beside the tuk-tuk drivers beside each other, and we were literally just shouting slurs at each other as the two of them were going up the road. Like,
It's the fact that whenever we went up a hill and I changed gear, by God, it sounded like she was dying.
I'd say they were well killed. Like,
Oh, by God. And then there was a lot of them stalled at the road ends. And then to be fair, they're ropey enough out drivers. Like, if you didn't hold on, you were fucked out.
that was the same as.
Well, funny though, like, no, he said €20. One of the lads threw him €20, like, he was like, €20 take you anywhere. And they were like, fuck, would he take us to the airport?
Did I?
No.
How far is the airport from?
Like 30 minutes. Like, fuck, sitting at 30k in one of them things.
Jesus.
Like, it was bad enough
Probably
going round
right.
and round about us being like, geez, they're going to you know, hit
Cool.
a car. Oh, well, that's the other thing. Like at one of the stages, we were going up the fucking hill, and there's a car coming out. He just fucking driven round the side of it, and we were just dumped at the curb and driven on.
See, in Vietnam, like as well, like they'd be coming along, and the next thing it'd be like a one way. No bar, straight down it. Like going down oncoming traffic, calling them just swerving. You were sitting there going like, okay, today I choose death.
Yes, but anyway, sorry, enough about that there. So that's basically the crack with that. Suppose you'd all like to know, you are listening to Conor and Michael at Limited Step Differences podcast, where we talk all things not Albufeira, but cars
To cows.
No, we never fucking talk about cows.
Well, I was
cars
gonna-
and tires.
Well, that spoiler alert, that's what I was wanting to bring up later. But yes, as you were saying,
Aye, it's Agri Automotive podcast. Forgot to put that in too. Aye, I didn't need my phone that time, but sure fucked it up anyway.
oh, sure you're getting there. So I am Michael.
Yes, you haven't spoke yet.
No, I've actually done very little speaking for a change, just because you've been talking about Albufeira and I've just been listening.
You're emotional damaged at the minute.
Aye, but I don't really want to go into too much of that at the minute. But
Beggar took his wee dodo away.
aye, that's what happened. Yeah.
Sorry.
So-
Don't know why it came out. I thought it was funny, but it wasn't really.
Do you know what it feels like at the minute? It just feels like someone is pushing down like that.
But you're physically doing it right now, but
Yeah, that's just what it feels like at the minute on my head. At the minute, it just feels like.
to be fair, whatever way the Portuguese make food, must have a wee bit of gluten in it. I'm not joking. I walked about like I was 6 months pregnant the whole weekend.
I think their food is very rich and very starchy.
Aye.
Would there be like a lot of I know it's not Italy, but would there be a lot of maybe not so much pasta, but would there be a lot of like will there be a lot of pasta based stuff over there, and spaghetti or anything like that, or
Well, I didn't eat any of that.
bread, or a lot of bread?
Not really. Like, to be honest, I had on the Friday night at McDonald's. On the Saturday
Glad to
morning,
see you're branching out, yeah.
on Saturday morning, we would call it over here a half chips, half rice
Aye,
with steak and pepper sauce. Never knew that was the thing.
rice with steak.
Yes. So look, it was morning time for me on the Saturday, but it was really like 2 o'clock in the day because you were out late on Friday night.
Yeah.
So for brunch, breakfast, whatever you want to call it, I had what I thought was steak and chips, but like there was a steak in the middle, there was fries on one side, and there was like a bowl of rice on the other side. And I was like, I've never had half and half with pepper sauce and steak.
I can imagine that being alright, you know.
I was hungry,
I
so it was alright.
can imagine that being dead on.
They can seriously cook out there, to be fair to them.
Aye.
It was
Like,
nice.
especially, but when you're in somewhere like Albufeira, like it's a tourist destination.
Oh,
if you're not good, you're not going to last.
Like-
People just won't go to you.
Do you mind we went to Sticks and Stones in Belfast last year?
Yeah.
I had a steak that blew it clean out of the water.
Seriously, and Sticks and Stones is good, like.
It was in, so like if anybody ever goes to Albufeira, go down to Bank Steakhouse. It is expensive for like around that part, but like
Good steak, like.
top 3 I've ever had.
Deadly.
But yes, enough about me. What about you? How are you getting along?
Well, we're in episode 44, by the way.
Fuck, I forgot that too.
It's been a bit of a roller coaster over the last couple of weeks. I'm just not well at the moment. So apologies for being maybe a wee bit down in form. You'll hear whenever Conor, if you're listening to it back, Conor's talking and laughing away about Albufeira. I am not giving him the reaction that he deserves. So apologies about that. You can hear me being a wee bit dry. So
Well, to be honest with you, you normally sound like this. Only
you're
I'm
in
not
good
gonna,
form. You're-
I'm not fucking dragging out no words, no harm to you.
you're in good form.
Don't know why I'm in good form.
Well, long may it continue, to be fair. But yeah, look, so just a bit of maybe, because we've already rehashed this and we've had to stop and start and stop and start, so we've just said, fuck it, we'll take a couple of minutes till I get my head in the game and we'll batter on here now. But so kind of following on then from, so Conor's in Albufeira where he was racing Tuktuks, which to be fair sounds absolutely class and I'm so jealous.
No, you were racing Tuktuks somewhere else.
You were.
Yes, I was just in the
you
back
were just
with
in the
Tuk-Tuk.
back with Tuktuk. Yeah, I was racing
I was-
Tuktuks. That was absolutely class. But I was still jealous of you being away. my time hasn't really been near as exotic, although the weather has been pretty good, and I've been incredibly jealous of seeing everybody out at silage, and kind of meeting all the tractors on the road, just going, oh, I want to play. But following back then, so it's about 10 days ago now, so by this stage things are kind of a wee bit out of your head, so I'm going to try and have to hash back a bit. But we went to King of the Rings, so as you know, we've been pushing King of the Rings. We had Seamus McGillion on the podcast with us. We've been down visiting, I had been down visiting, kind of a sore point with Conor, understandably.
No, it's not a sore point at all, no. It's just...
you're just a cunt.
I seem to have got myself in a wild habit that I fucking go on the pages. Now, I know I don't write on them or that, and I look like I don't give half a shite, but no, I do kind of. But no, I sound like a white wanker at the minute, but it's a bit awkward whenever, like, you do a podcast with somebody and then they fuck off.
Yeah,
and
we explained this in the last pod, thankfully.
But here, nothing personal, Dick.
To be fair, so you weren't actually thinking you were going to be able to go at all. So you weren't originally...
No, I wasn't there at all.
Aye. So
why am I getting
it was a great ruse, to be fair. You originally weren't meant to be there at all. It's just the way it was. You were like, look, I'm not going to be able to go there.
Just the logistics didn't work out, and then logistics then did work out.
Well, you kind of made logistics work. Say no more, like, but
see no evil, hear no evil.
But so we went down and we were there for about 10 or so or whatever. And to be fair, there was people already landing in at that time. It was supposed to start at 12. People were already landing in, and then we ended up getting chatting with Chris from Blade Performance.
Lovely fella.
We're going to try and get him on as a guest. Actually, he'll be a very, very good guest to have on the pod. No guest tonight. You're just stuck with a pair of us for a change because it's so last minute. This one, I originally didn't even know if we'd actually managed to get a pod out this week because of the way things have been going, but it's going to be a shorter one.
Well, I sent you a message last night to say the more night is not happening.
Yeah.
And then the day you went, please, I beg of you,
literally, please.
Make the night happen.
Yeah, please,
and
honestly.
I don't know what the fuck I've drunk today or ate today, but I
still probably in a buzz from your holiday, to be honest with you. And rightfully so. When was the last time you were foreign?
Oh, now you're asking. The last time I was somewhere that wasn't in the UK or Ireland.
Australia, probably.
No, Belgium.
That's right, that's about 8 years ago.
Aye, fuck, it was Belgium.
That's probably 2016, isn't it? Every bit of it, probably.
2017. And to be honest with you, I have a wild habit of going to like mainland Europe and just drinking my arse out. Because that was a study tour / just ended up getting
I've studied my arsehole.
drunk for 4 nights.
It's just, I was basically, but we went down anyway, and after getting chatted,
I'm not an alcoholic, just happens.
You're allowed to enjoy yourself, like.
Yeah.
But the wind was actually quite bad. We ended up having to tie Chris's stand to my Amarok.
It was the way the yard was. It was sort of acting like a tunnel effect type of thing.
Yeah, just with the way the shed was. And then the next thing, Dion and Nathan landed. Some track for them boys. Dion actually, he trailered the car up because it's no NCT or something at the minute.
Dion did?
Yeah.
Thank fuck he did.
Yeah. he trailered it up. So anyway, the track was fairly empty and him and Nathan went out for a run. And then the next thing I goes to Dion, I was like... So I've obviously was taking videos with the intention of making a video of Granard, which I will do. It will be a lot shorter. It's not going to be like an hour long like Donegal. But
is it going to involve us narrating though?
Oh yeah. It will. It's just the way things have went the last couple of weeks. Like I haven't been to training or nothing. Like just with everything going on.
You're just down with the busy.
So I haven't had a chance to make the video yet. And I feel guilty about that, as I feel guilty about pretty much everything.
You're not busy, but you're busy.
I felt so. I just haven't had a second to even do anything like that.
Shut the fuck up. I don't know what's going on.
But so then I was like to Dion, I was like, hi, I haven't diffed a car or anything in about like 3 years. But you wouldn't mind giving me a run on yours? And he was like, oh, I jump on.
Is his woman Neve?
Yes.
Right. Aye, and then I looked over and I seen you jumping in the car and I was like, oh, fuck's sake. My head was just thinking, oh, that stupid bastard will do something stupid. Right, so you haven't diffed a car in a long time and you decide it's a great idea to take somebody else's out. No, you're not a bad pilot.
Not the worst.
No, you're not a bad pilot. But
and a car you're not used to, and a track you've never been on.
have you ever? Oh, you've drove his car once before.
No, I never drove his. I drove Nathan's.
Oh well, car you never drove before. I just goes naive. I said, I just hope the fuck he doesn't hit it.
So, on that, so then I was driving down. The next thing, then I pulled his hydro, and he goes, "Oh yeah, it's not connected." And I was like, "All right, shit, well, okay." Then I was like, pulled the normal handbrake, and I was like, "It's not really the best locker." He goes, "On." He's like, "This thing does need a wee bit. It needs a wee bit of TLC." He's like, "I'm planning on putting this in the shed now after this, and it's not coming out to March again." And I was like, "All right, okay, cool. Well, that's good to know." And he had a tire that was going flat. So then
we're stacked against you.
So then I come into the arena, and like, geez, the last time I hooped a Lexus, actually, the 300 got hooped because the traction control light's now stuck on the minute, and the vehicle stability control light stuck on the minute, which means normally a 300 they've like this weird like stability unit thing that even if you turn the traction control off and start on a burnout and try to throw out the car out wide, it will kick off. It will stop the car from sliding any further. Because them two lights are on the dash at the minute, I can actually do circles in the 300.
When did you last attempt this?
Oh fuck, that thing was in the road probably last year. So
you've a lot of practice in, is essentially.
And then the last time I properly hooked my own car was the Sierra last year at the quarry, and I haven't done anything since. And really, before that, any proper track work, Alteza. So 3 years ago at least.
I love your confidence.
Well, I've had the quad. Actually, come think of it, I haven't been on the quad now since. Well, the quad's gone. The quad's gone a year and a half. So, anyway, the CV wasn't really that well up to date for this. But so we come out on the track then, and I was like, right, okay.
I have more fucking experience as leading a car this last while than you.
Right enough, actually. So I came on right, and I was like doing the cones, and I was like, going round, and I was hoofing her out too wide, and once I sort of caught myself onto it, I was like, right, I've got it now. I wasn't fluid. It was a lot of start, stop. But I was driving Dion's car pretty much just clutch banging it, like. And there's basically these three cones on the sort of the northwest of the course, shall we call it. And if you imagine you come in, the entry point's the northeast. just trying to sum it up in my head. And there's these three cones.
You're on a bit with a compass on you.
And I was trying to get tight, but then I come out round.
What a way to explain something north fucking east.
Dion,
what the fuck?
Dion's hanging outside the window with, like, holding the tasty number plate in the air, and the next thing I give her one big kick and she goes out wide, and you just see his face just going from laughter to just pure and I just come on and I just clipped his bumper off the wall, the nicest wee bit. And I didn't even notice. Then I went off and was doing rest, and then started going down to the big roundabouts at the bottom end and south of the track, shall we say. And I started doing that, and then Dion goes, he's like, I think the tyre might actually be a wee bit flat. And I was like, oh shit, I was only just starting to get onto it. And he went, you touched the bumper. And I went, what? He goes, there's a paint on the concrete block up there. And I was like, what? He goes, you touched the bumper. I goes, Jesus, Dion, I am so sorry. He goes, oh no, fuck. He goes, don't worry about it. I was like, no lad, if you need any money, anything to fix it, like, I will throw you money for that. Like, no boy, because you were good enough to give me the car. He goes, you just have to give me a run in the Sierra. And I was like, here, look, my word's my word, you can have a run in the Sierra. So and if he hits her, like,
oh Jesus. Well, like, there's like taking paint off, and then there's
I think, to be fair, the bumper was a wee bit scuffed anyway. So
he touched the bumper as well
on the arena as well.
Aye.
Oh,
only my video, I went out there and then pulled the foot away. And,
it was so. Yeah, after that I was like to Nathan, I was like, here, like, I give you a wild touch about nearly touching my gate. I goes, well, I was like, I just hit Dion's bumper. He goes, she did not. And I was like, I did. And he goes, is it bad? And I was like, no. And he's like, oh well. He goes, you're still a dick. I done some, like, it was just so funny. There's a video of me and Dion obviously beside his car laughing at it, like, but to be fair, like, good to see the lads again as much as anything, like, and it was fun to get back in, and it would have been nice to have been at it for longer or have my own vehicle or something there, but to be fair, we sort of end up having a job to do, so it sort of landed down then. You know what, it was a very grippy track, but I wouldn't have said...
It was a tampered floor, so it was. So
but I wouldn't have said tyre wear was bad.
It was wet.
Yeah, so tyre wear wasn't bad, but it definitely was grippy. So the next thing then, I was chatting to the likes of Paul McKenna and stuff, come on there, and got Paul to go out a run around the track and all, and I was about to actually go and see if Paul would take me a run, but every time he had someone in with him, and I was like, right, well, I'll not get the chance now. And then, to be honest, after that, I was kind of like, I don't really want to be in with anybody in case I put them off. But then there was a lot of like...
Well, no harm to you, but you'd be out with a fucking compass going northeast there. Jeez, lad, you need to go a bit more south. Oh, here, you need to go northwest this time. You'd be like, where the fuck are you on about? But anyway.
But like, do you know what? Like, there were some drivers, like...
No wonder you never follow us on nav.
There were some drivers, but at that, like, obviously there's quite a few people we had heard of, like the likes of your Ryan O'Toole and, your Paul McKenna and the likes of... Jack
Ryan
Bogan.
went on fire.
Yeah, I was going to say that one a bit actually, but there was a lad in a black BM, Gary McInerney, and in a 320i, and he was an operator as well. So just when I mentioned about the black BM, there was the two Lexuses of Ryan and Colin out as well, and them boys were just on each other's doors all day long, and then that's where you were then saying about Ryan O'Toole going on fire.
Yes,
that was near the start of the day as well, and I remember I have a video of it all happening, and he's coming around, and the thing is, the car goes on fire, and I'm literally standing there, like going like, stop, and he just keeps the foot, and I'm like, I knew he was a mad cunt, but I didn't know he was that fucking mental. He just kept her lit, like.
Well, he had to get out.
But he was still sliding.
Aye, well, he had to get out, I suppose. If we're going in your directions, he was fucking southwest, and then he had to go up fucking northeast. Brave old trek.
So you were saying then about the cones then?
Ah, yes. So I was saying to Michael, as he was trying to find through his research, there was point in time, right? So there was 3 cones, but there was tyres. The cones were basically set on top of the tyres. And if we're going on this man's logic, it was fucking northwest of the track.
Northeast.
Right, whatever. Fucking.
I don't know how I've started with this, but this is the way we're going. So
right. Instead of going on that logic, if you come in through the gate, it was the first part of the track you seen.
Yeah.
Yes.
The trade of cones.
So whenever I think Paul McKenna basically.
Was it Gary in the black BM? Was
Gary,
our car?
Gary was in the black BM. So at the start we were like, oh look, we'll be cool and we'll jump on top of the tyres. And to be fair, like, it was fucking cool, and being deft around that close, and then having to put into the ultra wide camera to get to
get them coming around. There's a bit where I can't. Is it with us?
Like, it would have been better if I'd have stood the other side of it, so whenever you would have got them round and seen the full of it. But at the end of the day, like, I'm a bit of a noob without photography, so.
I can't remember who it was with. I started then doing a competition whenever I was standing on the cone. This was after you left, to see who could, like, high five me. Michael McStravick was the only one to actually do it.
Oh, right.
Everyone else was trying to get. I had with Paul McKenna, I had with Gary McInerney, trying to get them to try and give me a high five, and it was they just couldn't get close enough. And then just the way it was, because the track's so grippy and it was firing you out. But there was the one, I think there's a video, it should be quite a good video if I can make it work, and I think it's Imogen and Caitlin coming around us, and you're standing on one of the cones and I'm standing on the other, and I have one of them hooping around you, and then what I'll do with the camera is they'll take off and the camera will flip to them then hooping around me, and then when they take off it's going back around you. I'll try and do that a couple of times. There's also 2 brothers there. There was Christy and Damo Norton, and they were out at the start, so Domo Norton, should I say, Dominic, I imagine is his actual name, but he was out in Alteza. He gave up. I actually thought that was game over for that car very early on in the day, because she started like doing wild blow by, and I was like, and he was like, be fine, and I was like, oh fuck, the boys are madder down here in the Midlands anyway. And he just kept the toe on her, and that thing just ran all day. So him and his brother, they were coming, and I kind of had twigged because they looked sort of similar. I was like, I wonder if these boys related. So then them pair were out constantly like round each other, driving around each other, and I was like, all right, well, these two here. So I was like, there's a bit of talent there because they're following each other around the track and all. And I was like, a bit of tandem and all that, and doing the whole track. I was like, all right, well, that's good to watch there. So fair play, tell them. So then the next thing, me and you then went up to Seamus for a yarn, and Seamus goes, right boys, he goes, you pair are picking the top 16. And after picking my jaw up off the floor and howling my arse cheeks clenched because I was about to shit myself and hearing that, like, I was like, fuck, we have a job in our hands.
To be honest, I heard it went, you're doing it.
Well, you were leaving early.
It would have been wrong of me to be like. Don't get me wrong. There was obviously a few drivers I can't mind or wasn't sure their names. You know, like it would have said, "Oh, such and such should definitely."
Sorry, my laptop made a noise there and I shit
possibly get into it. Mm-hmm. And there's that. Probably wasn't hard to twig that we were.
There's a few ones caught on. Like Hayden Maher came up to us pretty early on the day. He was the LE with the Strom wheels, absolutely tiled.
All I'll say is, I've always said that a V1 is nicer than a V2 bumper.
Yes,
but his car actually decked on them wheels.
That was tiled
silver with the splitter on, like that. Whatever that splitter was in the V2. I was like that. Now, no offence, everybody likes his own taste, but my taste's always been like, I'm not really a big fan of V2 bumpers.
I've never been a V2 fan, but his was one of the nicest cars there.
I'll give it to you, that is tidy.
When he came in, I was like, see, basically, like, the thing is, if you're coming to one of these events now, an Alexis, you're kind of almost in a way, if you're not a known pilot, you're kind of nearly doing yourself a disservice because there's so many Lexuses. It's very, very hard to stand out, especially when you're seeing so many. But when his come in, the first thing I said was, well, even based on style points alone,
and I went, that's fucking nice.
That thing is class. And then we were taking the videos, and I'm assuming he probably had known of us anyway because he sort of had thrown the hand up at us and all. So probably just from the pod, and more likely TikTok. You probably seen there's them two gobshites from TikTok. He was. He sort of like twigged on to who we were.
Yeah.
But he was firing it round, and then as time went on, I was kind of watching him a bit, and he came up to me and goes, "Jink, I'll get top 16." And I was like, I don't know. I was like, if I was a judge, I'd be thinking that you should probably maybe be doing the roundabouts at the bottom a bit more. And he was like, do you think the judges would appreciate that? And I was like, I think they would, aye. And he was like, right. He just sort of looked at me funny, and I was like, right, best luck. So, obviously you don't want to be seen to be giving people preferential treatment, but if there was someone who you knew was good and they'd kind of twigged on and they said, well, what could I do better? It was kind of like, well, if you can try this, and they were able to do it, then I was like, well, fair play, then you've done what I've asked. Michal McStravick was another one who was going all well, like he runs about the likes of Shea Lahern and all them boys.
Yeah.
But he was down and he sort of twigged on as well, and he was like, is there anything else you think I could be doing? And I was like, the problem is like, if I was a judge, I'd be expecting everybody to do the whole track. I goes, you could be the best person doing like this one part of the course.
Yeah.
But if you're only doing like, you know, the three cones over here, I guess you could be the best man at doing them, Isaac. But if you're not doing the roundabouts, the bottom, I can't judge you in that, you know. And there were boys who were coming in who were doing a real good job, but they didn't do the full track, and that's where they lost out in points. So then, to be fair to his credit, Michal went and he done the entire course. And to be honest, the run he'd done before that was actually better, but I didn't let on that. And that was his run that I was like, no, I'll give him a punt and give him a chance. And to be fair, he done well. Then you've got boys like Ryan O'Toole, who's just pure showmanship. And as I say, this is where I say about the Lexus has kind of been, in two occasions, there was two cars, it took me maybe 3 or 4 runs to kind of notice them, and then I just went, how long? These boys are good. And one of them was Colin Feeney, and the other one was Michael Hand. Michael Hand was in the green Lexus that was out with. So, well, I'll tell the other about that story in a bit. So Ryan was out, obviously, and then Gary was in the black BM. And Gary, obviously being in a BM, was something different. So you were kind of watching that anyway, because you were like, right, well, that thing is a bit different, so we'll see how he gets on. And then for a while I was like, these boys, okay, Ryan, obviously he'll get a number for even pure showmanship. This man's going to do something mental. And to be fair, he's a savage pilot. Like, so you know, like the Danny Toland effect. You need those people, because they're the boys that ends up being on your TikToks. They're the boys that ends up, you know, being the ones that blows the whole thing up. So that's what you need. But then that lad Colin Feeney was out with them as well, and I was like, how long? I was like, he's literally getting away from them, and he's like sitting on their doors as much as anything. I was like, I can't not give that man a number. But as I say, because he was in a blue Lexus, and because there were so many Lexuses.
Was it not green?
No, that was Michael Hand.
Okay.
So I explained that one in a bit. So I was like, fuck, I have to give that man a number too. Then on the case of Michael Hand, so Dylan Cummins was down in a blue twin cam, and I didn't know it was Dylan.
To be fair, now I was taking a video of him, cause obviously twin cam. I was like, fuck, I recognise that man's face, but I don't know where. Like, you're well familiar with him.
See, he was wearing a peak cap, and I think if he hadn't been wearing the cap, I'd have recognised him.
Oh well, I wasn't that sharp eyed, but no, I just was like, he looked familiar, if you know what I mean. And then I seen videos later on, and it was him in the red chaser, and went, fuck, missed him, you know, we must have been down later on. But
see, I didn't know it was Dylan, so then I had said till I had found out, I was like, who's the boy in the? I was like, is the blue twin cam still here? And they're like, no, he's away. I was like, fuck's sake, like I had him down for a number. Because the man done the course, and I think he was in second gear for most of it.
I first nearly sounded like she was running off, like a cylinder.
He drifted the entire. Well, I think that's maybe why he took her home, because she was missing. But like, he done the whole thing, I think, in second gear for the speed he was doing. Again, like Michael Hand was following him on the Lexus, and whatever Dylan did, Michael was doing the same. And I was watching it again. And this is just where you see the differences. There's a black Lexus out with him too, and he was doing okay, but he just wasn't as tidy as Michael. And again, I was like, right, it's another Lexus, but like, I can't not look past this. But because he was a Lexus originally, you kind of, I was so busy focusing on the twin cam, being like, ooh, twin cam, that I kind of didn't sort of realise. And then I kind of had him down as like one of my sort of maybes in it, but then it came to him and another driver, and I was like, no, Michael was a better pilot. So that's, again, as I say, you're sort of doing yourself as a disservice if you're showing up in a Lexus, because you need to be really good. And as I said, it took a few goes for me to realise how good some of them boys were. And the thing is, if Dylan had said he was coming back in the chaser, although this sounds wild bad, I probably would have had a number, because I'm like, well, you got a number earlier, and I know you can steer. You earned your number in the other car.
Plus, as terrible as it sounds,
again, it's showmanship.
It's a different car.
Yes. So this is the other thing. Like the top 16, you know, there was other drivers. Like there were certain people. Like for instance, you wanted to get a couple of the woman on, you know, just. Oh well. So that was Imogen and Caitlin on as well. So and that was kind of the way we'd all agreed it was.
And it wasn't just because they're women, it was just like they can drive. They can drive,
and it was one of them things where it's like, look, if we're doing a one only event, you know, it's just King of the Rings, like there's no Queen of the Rings. We'll kind of have a quota. If there's a few girls come here, we'll try and get them on as well, just to spice the whole thing up. And to be fair, like, I mean, Caitlin went against Paul McKenna in their battle, like. Paul, to be fair, is like Paul's an incredible driver. Like Paul, I'm not really a betting person, but just on what I know and who was there originally, if you had have said who do you think will be one of the top contenders, I'd have said Paul. And it's not well, I say it's not favoritism. It's just because I know Paul and know he can steer.
Yeah, of course.
And you know, like the likes of Ryan there, for example, is an absolute header. I was like, I don't know if he's gonna like win or blow the car up. You know. Given it went on fire at one point. So, yeah. You know, and then, as I say, there's a lot of other unknowns, but, like, you know, you had Jack Bogle there as well. He was another top 16er from this year, and, like, he's a savage driver. That's an IS300 he has. You know, he's a great pilot as well. And anybody else who listens to this and you haven't heard your name and you were in the competition, like you'll be on the video. So on the main video, I'll be doing it all. So don't worry if you haven't got your shout out. Obviously, then I just have to. To be fair, I'll tell you one of the best improved drivers I seen that day.
Who was that?
Nathan Duran Griffin, tasty gobshite. Nathan, when he first come in, was sort of struggling just with the grip and all that there.
Yeah.
See, Nathan actually came up to me and says, "Look, I know you're judging." I was like, "Okay." He was like, "What do I need to do?" And I said, "You need to do the whole track. You need to do this, and you do that." And I told him what he needed to do. And Nathan went, and he, like, don't get me wrong, he done a better run than I could. And to be fair, he was starting to try and get on to some of the stuff I asked. So one of the things I said is, I want it, when you're coming off the roundabouts, you come into this, there's a singular cone. I want you to come in kind of at speed and get round that and get that neatly. And he actually did do that. But he done it on the run before he was speaking to me better than the run after. And I actually said to him, I was like, "Nathan, your run before that was a better run." And he was like, you know, obviously he was trying to pick up hints, you know, for judging. But as I said to him, I goes, "Nathan, you're going against boys that literally, like, have been at this for years. Like, take the likes of Ryan O'Toole or Paul McKenna." I was like, them boys have literally been doing this God knows how long. I was like, you know, you need just to keep practicing. Like, but see, after like that, like Nathan, after a day of driving, like, he was shit hot. Like, so fair play to him. And that's the type of stuff you like to see, because that's the type of things. And hopefully whenever Dean gets the hydro and all wired into his car and he gets it all going wired, plumbed, he'll obviously be out again as well. But I think he needs to be. So Dean, if you're listening to me, and I've probably already told you this, and I'm probably not the man to say this concerning I whacked your bumper, but I don't think he drives it ignorant enough. He drives a lot on the throttle, and I think, Alexis, you need to just kick the fucking shit out of them.
Well, if there's one thing I noticed, and like, I'm obviously not a differ and have never had really a rear-wheel drive car before, whenever you're watching it and you have a rough idea of like, you know, who you would expect to see go into the main competition in the top 16, it's like a fine line between being a mad bastard and not giving a flying fuck about your car.
Yeah.
But you never hit anything.
Yeah.
So like, you're on the edge the whole time. It's a knife edge. You're doing a wee bit, like, some of them are doing a bit of speed or whatever, but it's the fact that, like, so I think at a point in time, so Paul McKenna was doing the course, and Ryan O'Toole, Ryan essentially just fucking car bumper in your man's door, but he never actually touched the man's door. I left early, if you know what I mean.
Paul McKenna done one of the smoothest transitions I've seen all weekend.
I give one thing to Paul McKenna. I've never seen a more just relaxed looking fella in a car.
Aye,
like it.
Not one fuck given.
It's like, I wouldn't even say it was that. Like,
no, I don't say one.
His driving at times looks like not one fuck given. But
no, Paul's just, it's a very, very smooth
drive. It's like as if he's just sitting there and just.
It's a very smooth driving style compared to Ryan, who is pure mentality. But Paul done one of the smoothest transitions I've seen all weekend. So Colin Feeney and Ryan O'Toole were chasing each other around the roundabouts, or rather Ryan was chasing Colin. Ryan then went out wide, and Paul McKenna come in just from another part of the course and just slid in between the two of them, as nice as you like. And I was like, I'm fucking glad I got that on video. That is class. Because I said that to him, like, it was one of the nicest things I seen all day. To be fair, at the end of the day, like, when I seen Dylan Cummins go out, like, just the way he has to drive that car, like, he is basically drifting them courses. Like, and it just sounded class. Like, I had to actually record it in Becca's phone then, because mine died and ran out of battery. Like, I've actually got a battery charger for LZ Fest this weekend. So,
you bought a power bank?
Yeah, I've got a power bank. I'm going to need it. It's definitely going to be a requirement.
Nice.
So,
I'm going to watch the live stream.
You'll see my goofy head
on the Sunday. Sunday's main event day,
because I get in with a media pass.
Oh, lovely.
Buzzing. But I'll get back to that also in a bit. I was on the topic about, like, you know, how there's a lot of Lexus, and if you drive a Lexus, it's nearly kind of a detriment to you because it's harder to get noticed.
Yeah.
So obviously, whenever David Heron pulled in the red BM, he has a red 320D. Obviously, I was like, right, I want to see how he's performing.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, the diesels, they are a good going thing. Like I've seen Michael Donnelly and Kyle Lennox, you call him, from Marfelt. He has a blue 330D, and like they're serious good on. But that's 330s. 320s are a good going thing as well when they're mapped. And I know David's is mapped. One thing I would say about David's car is she's wild boaty.
Is she wild boaty?
She's wild boaty. I'd say if he, whether she's in Lowern Springs or Cuts, I don't know. But if she was
probably Lowern Springs,
I'd imagine. See if she was lower. Like that's the one thing I would say, like was sort of throwing David off a bit, was that she kind of, she'd have been quite hard. I'd be like trying to slide a Bora if a Bora was rear wheel drive. Like Boras are very, very boaty, and even when you're going around a corner in them, they kind of feel wild, wobbly. So I was like looking at David's car, and that's one thing I noticed was it's wild unsettled looking. So I can only imagine whenever you're trying to drive that, and it's kind of sort of constantly moving about the show, you're probably sitting, it's probably quite hard to work with. But to be fair, did have a limit slip difference of sunstrip on the car, so I was fucking buzzing when I seen that.
Yes,
that was class. So obviously I have a video of that, like, as well, which I'll get in the main video. So shout out to David for that. I obviously really, really appreciated that.
I'm quieter now because I'm fucking cold.
So finish off the King of the Rings, because we've actually been talking about this for a right while.
It's only been like 25 minutes.
Well, still a right while on what's new.
Exactly, you've talked more about it than I talked about Albufeira, so we're not too bad. You're back to the main boy. The
main boy, yes, thank God. Actually, one of the most fun bits of the entire weekend was I had to do the driver's briefing.
Oh,
I had to do the driver's briefing, so you can imagine how that went. So you're standing with
did you do it within like a certain time frame? Because you'd be like, right, lads, this is the way you're going to be doing it.
It probably took a bit longer.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
See, the course changed compared to King of the Combe.
Right, okay.
Because of where they started against the bollards. So the track's wider.
Yeah.
But it's the same length. But whatever way... No, sorry, that's a lie. The track's wider, a lot wider, but it's not as long. So if you imagine King of the Cone is like... It's narrow.
It's a rectangle.
Aye. This one's more of a big square.
Yes.
But as I say, you could, if you had 12 good... You could have 12 good men in that track. Like, that's how big Granard was.
Yeah.
Whereas King of the Cone, any more than 6 kind of looks...
sketchy.
Yeah. But like, as I say, the roundabouts took up a massive amount of space on their own, which was the idea, was to go for faster. It was for a bit of speed, like second gear, But I had to do the driver's briefing. Basically, the difference was they start at the bottom, they go up to the top cone, they go round it 3 times, come to the bottom cone, go round it 3 times. Instead of just when they do the second cone, they slide out and get to the finish line. They have to go back round it up to the top, past the first cone.
Oh,
so. It actually made it a very interesting spectacle. So we got Paul McKenna to do a show run. They're like to me, Michael, pick someone who, was happy enough to go and do a show run. I goes, Paul, do you want to do a show run? He went, I know, boy. It's like just Mr. Cool Calm Collective, doesn't give a fuck about the crowd, so. We done the crowd coming in as well. It was kind of the same as Donegal 2023. So everybody came in. I said to them, I was like, look, 20 seconds, come in, do a bit of kicking about, throw around a few cones, do a weenie hoops, whatever, and then line up. And we'd 1 to 8 lined up on one side of the track and 9 to 16 lined up on the other side of the track.
Oh, okay.
And to be fair, I think all things considered, it was a really, really good event. Really, really good event. How the things ran, the top 16, I was happy with. There was 1 or 2 I was like, I wish if there was 1 or 2 I was kind of on the fence. I was between a couple of numbers, and it just happened to be I couldn't see the other car and the person that they were against. Say person A and person B. Person B, I'm like, I don't know where they're at, and person A is in the crowd, or not in the crowd, in the line waiting to go. I was like, right, well, I'll give it to them, which maybe isn't good on my part, but. When seeing if you're walking about giving out numbers, it is stressful.
Is it?
Everybody is looking at you, and you just feel like they're looking through you. Like, it is like all eyes are on you. Like, everybody is staring you down. And I was like, oh, this is like. And Barry was like, do you just ever feel like you're being watched? And I was like, Jesus Christ, like, this is.
Unreal.
Yeah, unreal, but also like.
Nerve-wracking.
I was like, I feel like I'm the most hated person in this place at the minute. Oh, one other notable thing before we move on is had to push Gareth Harn's car out twice. Moonstone Lexus, were you there for that?
The first time, did he blow the fuse again?
Yes. Big shout out to Dion. So we were pushing Gareth's car out, couldn't get it started. I was like, oh, I'm away to get deodorant. It's definitely your fuel pump, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, Michael, we've tried it, it's not working. I'm like, well, try it again, because I'm here now and I've managed to get deodorant off someone. It took ages. And then Dion came running up and goes, what do you think's what's happened? And Gareth's like, oh, she's just cut out on me. And Dion went, this happened to me at Donegal. Popped off the fuse. He said he popped off, pulled out a 25 amp fuse, and it was bust. And he goes, this is what happened to me at Donegal. He was like, your O2 sensors touched your chassis, it's earthed, and it's blew the fuse.
Oh.
EFA fuse, he said it was. And Gareth's like, just how'd you know it? And Dion was like, that happened to me. And he was like, deadly. So Dion was like, just go and try and get the wires, cable tie the wires down, whatever you can do something like that. Because again, Gareth had a number.
Yes.
Gareth has a red Sierra as well, because he joked about taking my plates. For had no number to your tax there for a while, so he was joking about taking my plates. So but he, to be fair, he put on a real good show. He was flying. I was like, how much speed do you think he can get? And he was like, I'll try. He probably was the fastest man around the course all than Dylan Cummins in the chaser. He flew. So props to that. And fair play to Dion as well for knowing that.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And saving a lot of fucking headaches.
Oh, of course.
So, yeah, like, great day. Absolute great day. And so glad to have been involved with just really, really appreciative of the whole thing. Like, it was class.
It was a brilliant day for what I got down to it for.
I know, I was raging you weren't there for the whole thing. For you would have loved it. Me and you running about that arena. To be fair, Dion got your high-vis.
I said straight away, look,
he was out in the arena with me then, taking videos and all.
Like, I goes to him.
He was living his best life too.
I have to go early. Here's a high-vis, work away at it. That was it. So...
No, I think he very much appreciated that as well. Like,
sure, why not?
Being able to get out and be around with us, like, so not around with us as in me and you, but just the whole thing in general.
It's okay.
So I was King of the Rings. So I was with Andy Hamill there about a week ago, and Andy Hamill made me a stainless steel pipe for Mary.
Seen that.
So no more lack of exhaust pipe, where it was so loud every time you started.
Does the thing now sound normal?
Yeah, it actually sounds good. Oh, I mean, I wouldn't say they're the best sounding engines in the world, but yeah, no, it's barky enough. But he's put a silencer and all on her, and it does look decent. Like, it looks
like a class job.
Yeah,
sure.
real good look. So fair play to Andy. I spoken to Andy about maybe getting him on the pod to maybe talk about ADH and the fabrication business that he started doing. So he's doing tractor exhaust and the likes of that, and
yeah.
Obviously, it's very on brand for us. I was chatting to him, and he was saying, "Are you not going to get a farming main topic back in?" He says it's been all very, very.
Oh, does Andy listen?
Oh,
that's good.
Yeah. Oh, he listens. So he's like, "You're not going to get a farming main topic back?" And I was like, funny. I was thinking this next one.
When did we last do a farming main topic?
John McLean, I guess. And then even before that, it was Donegal Rally. So I would say in the last 6 podcasts, it's only been one farming topic. It's been cars. It's been a lot of cars recently.
Right enough, yeah.
Although, well, I mean, Ahiol, but that could have been 2 separate podcasts. Like, Ahiol and...
True, very true.
Ahiol and Danny Tolan was
it's
on
like
the one
somebody's turned the
podcast.
fucking light switch on me, but I've turned the light switch off.
I've perked up a wee bit now after a counselling session there, talking about everything. But, so then I was chatting to Big Morton as well.
You know what? It's okay not to be okay, Michael.
Well, that's true as well, to be fair. I was chatting to Big Morton as well, and he was saying the same thing. He was like, he's like, you know, I would listen to your podcast. He's like, that last one you talked about the tractor pull, and he's like, and then after that he goes, I don't like really care about any of the car stuff. So he just turned it off, and I was like, well, you're honest. So this time around, hopefully he'll be listening to the full thing. So
he'll probably skip to now. Yeah,
maybe actually it's a lot of car stuff at the start. But so this is kind of one of them topics that you kind of save. I don't want to say save for any day, but you know, there's a few of them topics that we have up our sleeves, because obviously at the minute, especially this year, has been very guest focused.
Okay.
Because me and you did most of our buzzword topics last year. There's only so much we can talk about our ideal silage fleets.
No, it's not even that. It's fucking, you made the list, and looking back on it, like,
I've lost that list.
No, it's not
even. It was my old phone. It was on my old phone.
No, like, you made a list, and we were like, at the time we thought, sure, an hour and 15-20 minutes is long enough for a podcast. Who would want to listen to you any longer?
Now they're 3 hours.
And they're fucking 3 hours long now. But
this one will not be as long as that. But
the moral of the story is, like, what we found out was some of these topics, you can't really get any more than 10 minutes out of them.
Like, we were all like, I think one of them was like, oh, we'll do a thing on air versus hydraulics versus coilovers. And I think I was like, okay, we've kind of summed that up after 5 minutes.
5 minutes, it was like, yeah, basically.
So, and then some of our topics are quite good, but they need a bit of direction. And this is one of them ones which needs a wee bit of direction. So, I suppose...
Well, your direction's no harm to you. Stop getting the compass out. We don't need to be fucking, you know.
Okay, so to not make the same mistake as we did in like episode 14, where we just started talking about our dream car garages, but didn't put... a number and a hang on it. We ended up just saying...
It was another pure balls. No harm to you. I am not restarting this topic again at fucking 1 o'clock in the morning.
So I kind of thought, given this, and we've probably talked about this a bit before in the past, but let's just say you're working to a modest budget and you're starting out farming on your own. And I say modest budget, whatever way the banks give you a little bit of money, you're not Jeremy Clarkson, you don't have 1,000 acres, but you've been given 100 acres, you've managed to get your hands on 100 acres of somewhat decent ground. I know you're looking at me going,
where are you getting that for modest money?
Well, okay, hang on, do I start this off again?
The better way to put it is this, right? So, Michael, your Scully-tastic engineering is doing well.
Okay.
Right. And you're making a lot of bank.
Okay, yeah.
And a common theme these days seems to be that these engineering firms, whether the name's questionable or not, well, they're investing money instead of, I suppose, and other different things, they're buying farmland and that. But you're the, I don't know, let's just say you've took a wild, mad notion. And you do take wild, mad notions.
I do take wild, mad notions. But I'm kind of asking this question for anybody. But
yes, but if you're talking about 100 acres of decent ground, like, you know, you need Scully-tastic engineering must be doing well, if you know what I mean.
Let's just say, right, maybe you run a business or whatever, or tragically you've lost a family member and you've come across, you've been left 100 acres. Maybe call it that as well.
Right, I think we're getting really in deep here.
Yeah, we are. But the reality is, you've got 100 acres of ground. Somehow you've got it. Maybe you've killed someone. I don't know. But you've got 100 acres of ground.
This is a better way to put it. You've just come back from fuck knows where, and old Aunt Tessie has left you 100 acres of ground. And you took a wild fucking mad notion. You done a night class in Greenmount for a year.
There we go, yeah.
And you basically...
I feel somewhat targeted here, but anyway.
And you've more or less got an agricultural qualification. I suppose like down south you need, is it the green cert or something?
Something like that, aye.
To, suppose you could say, get a herd number, a flock number, right?
So you've been set up, you've got yourself set up with a herd number and a flock number, and you have, like, obviously we're not going to say unlimited budget, so we'll say modest budget. What that actually means...
No, you're starting off.
Yeah.
You have fuck all, but your 100 acres of ground. And if you were given 100 acres of ground in them sort of scenarios, would your personal preference be, right, I'm going to go down the beef cattle route? Now, bear in mind, we're going to say, like, this is very moderate ground, say, or a wee bit hilly, but not really hilly.
But a couple of wet fields, etc.
Aye, just normal ground just around here.
Average ground, Average ground,
Are you going down the lowland sheep route? Are you going to go beef route? Are you going to go dairy?
Mm-hmm.
What would you personally do?
For me personally, if I was working, say, 100 acres or whatever, and that was what you were going to do full time,
okay,
I would find it very, very hard to look past a robot.
Okay.
Reason being, although I don't like cattle being in all year round,
okay,
me having grown up the way I've grown up, sort of just more with like full-time job and all that, and not being a dairy farmer the same way you are, because given the way things happened around here, I, especially this year, whilst it's nice that you have what you have, you are tied to that place, and that is something I don't think I personally would want. So it's either a robot or beef, because I like being involved, but see, being fully tied. Now I know you can get relief workers and all that there, but see that, like, it literally owns your life kind of thing, which you have and plenty of our listeners have. That is just something I don't want. And that's kind of why I brought up this topic, is to talk about stuff like that, and, you know, like, kind of bring to attention, kind of like, especially when you see what you have, you know, and like, you probably have about, what, 100 to 150 acres of ground, maybe more.
Say 150 for 100. I don't actually, can't mind off the top of my head, but say for take personal things out of all. Say there's 150, we're sticking there 100 acres. Fuck that, we're sticking there 100 acres.
Yeah.
So you're saying that, well, is it Lely robot, or are you going beef cattle?
See, the thing is,
you could talk about the fucking advantages and disadvantages all day, but you're personally right.
I think me personally, if I was put in the position, I think, despite the fact that I do like beef, I think I would go Lely. I would go.
So you're going down dairy farming,
I would,
right?
I would, and I see a setup like Kieran McNaughton's, absolute, beautiful.
Yes. So there's right. So we're talking hand counting. Roughly, I think a robot is 150 to 1. So say I think it's roughly 150 grand.
150 for your
for
first
one robot,
one, yeah.
And you're tied to about 50 to 55 cows in her.
That's all you're really, yeah. And that's, if you have 100 acres, that's really all you're gonna surely want to be milking anyway.
We're going to say that milk prices
are okay. We'll just say they're okay. They're dead up.
So, what breed of cattle are you buying then?
This is where I was kind of hoping for your input, because
I'll tell you mine. You tell me yours.
So,
because it's all right to turn around and say, like, a disclaimer.
Well, this is
just
the
own
thing.
opinion.
This is the thing. Like, I'm not that well clued in on my cattle. Not really. Like, I know what breeds exist because I've owned them, or what I've been maybe told to stay away from. But you hear a lot of people talking now about the likes of Danish Red, Norwegian Reds, and Flackvey and all that. And I think the Danish Reds and likes of them, well, we'll call them, I've started calling them the Viking breeds, but they seem to be a nice hardy cattle or hardy animal, and they seem to produce a better calf. That's the one big downside. If you've got a Holstein herd,
right,
and you say you serve them with an Angus, because an Angus is easy calved,
yeah,
you end up with, like, and one of mine is like that, you end up with a beef animal that's got a very high narrow back end because of the breeding in them, because of the genetics. And this Holstein back end, like, it's just Holstein breeding.
Okay.
I would personally want dairy cattle that I could have a couple of beef animals on the side.
What breed are you buying for your robot?
Probably a mixture of Danish Red, Flackvey, and Alwina Holsteins.
So you're getting a dolly mixture then?
Yes.
Right. Are you buying first calvers, or are you buying the likes of some old boys selling out like a lot of 50, 60 and sell out? Are you buying outer cattle or younger cattle?
Younger cattle.
Okay.
Younger cattle.
So calved heifers basically.
Yeah, and then this is your problem. You then have to spend a right bit of time with no income.
No, well, you've your robot has been put in, and you've bought your sort of first calving
Yes.
animals.
Well, heifers. So you're
Well-
training them in the parter, etc.
Yeah, so if you're going the likes of that, you'll have a lot of time to get them used to the robot.
Yeah, and that's why you would do it,
Okay.
because they wouldn't know anything else.
So then you're keeping them in all year round.
I would do my best to have some form of like wee grassy paddock area they can walk around, get them out. Like if you've only 50 cattle and you've like maybe a 2 acre sort of area they can walk around, at least be in the middle of the day, you're still feeding them silage all year round, but they have a place to kind of at least go outside.
So to keep things simple then, and to keep this from talking all night,
Well, I don't mind talking about this all night, but we both have to be up early in the morning.
yes. And it's late enough as it is.
Correct. That's good conversation.
Are you going down the route of baled silage or pit silage?
Pet silage.
Pit silage, right?
Pet silage.
I'm assuming they're in all year round. Are you going multi-cut or two-cut?
Multi-cut.
Okay.
Well, actually, that depends on your ground.
But with moderate ground, like it could be a wet year, dry year, you don't know.
I would say 3 cuts.
Okay.
3 cuts.
More or less same as most people do.
Yes.
Okay. All going into the pit then.
Yes, all going into one pit.
And they're kept in all year round. Well, would you be the type of person that, considering that you're in a fair lot of debt after your buildings have went up and you bought your cattle and your lay, would you be going out to buy a new tractor or second hand?
I just think the reason, and again, another one of the reasons why I want to have this talk as well is because I've been doing a lot of thinking about this recently.
You're thinking about a robot?
No, well, just in general, like tractors have got incredibly expensive.
They have.
Like, so expensive. And they're a lot more difficult, I think, to fix. Like, one of the things, we were up with Sam Cole there recently.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sam. Also a listener. So we were with Sam Cole there recently, and this was actually one of the triggering points for this podcast, was he said that, when someone bought an 8340 back in the day, that was a tractor that could go and it could tow, 2,000 gallon slurry tanker, 14 ton silage trailer. You could plough with it, fertilise. It was just a real good all rounder. And now for that same frame of tractor, you're looking at a T6145 or your equivalent Massey 67, like sort of 6715 kind of like what you have, and they're a bigger tractor and they're a much more expensive tractor. And I think if you're your own farmer and you're not really doing anything, you're not in it every day, flat out all the time, I don't think you need to live this life of luxury. So for me, like, if it was me, I'd be trying to do it. You'd just buy older, more mechanical equipment.
You'd buy a Fiat then?
Of course, absolutely. But like, I think if you had a Fiat, like say like of a 110, and then maybe a wee smaller tractor.
Suppose, like, when I asked you that question, I was just like, this will be 10 minutes of talking jargon and then Fiat.
Fiat, yes, absolutely. But like, of course, I'm Fiat mad in the brain. So yeah. You're talking about, the way I see it is, if you're looking to get 50 acres of silage cut first time round, so you 55 cattle, well, they're in all year round. So you're probably going to have, are you going to cut all 100 acres in your first cut? Well, no, you wouldn't, because you have a few followers and a few cattle grazing.
Yeah, but again, remember, we're still in you. So, would you then obviously get a contractor in to do your silage?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I wouldn't.
You would go with older equipment and
Yes.
do it yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing is finding people that are reliable. Like, you'll get people probably for the first cut, or you might get people for the second cut, but it's finding people that are reliably come cut after cut. Now, obviously,
but that's everybody's problem. So
Yeah.
you would do your own side.
I
is it?
would.
You would. Are you talking like trailed harvester,
Yeah.
or would you go for an old self-propelled?
I have been out along with old self-propels, and I've seen the hassle they can give. No,
Fuck your money happy anyway.
I've been out. I drew alongside a class 695, like 30 acres in 2 days. She just kept breaking down. Like, now, to be fair, I think if you had an FX 375 or something like that, and you managed her right, basically ran water constantly around the blower cone so she didn't set herself on fire. Something like that would be quite good. But I personally think if you had the likes of, say, older equipment, you had the likes of, say, a TM 150 and a 11090, and say, and assuming all your ground's fairly close to the house, and say maybe like a 1394 case or a 7610 or something as your second tractor, 2 trailers and a loader, be that like
You tip away at it basically.
and basically your loader either is a 526 JCB, like one of the older ones in the early 2000s, or a TR250 Mapro, or an L409 JCB. Like, that's the type of stuff I would be going for. Like, kind of Mary's maybe a wee hair too old, but that's kind of the sort of thing I'd be going for, and doing it yourself, like, kind of like an old school kit, and a couple of days. But it means you turn around and say, "Jeez, there's 2 or 3 good days coming up. I wouldn't mind getting my silage in now." You can do it when you want. You can, all being well. The only thing is, if anything breaks, it's on you to fix.
That's very true.
This is the biggest problem when you do stuff yourself, is you have to be responsible for the maintenance.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would, if it was me and it come to cutting, I would do my own grass, I would do my own slurry, I would do my own fertilising. I don't know if I'd do my own ploughing though, if it came to reseeding ground, because you could not thank me to do ploughing. I've never ploughed anything in my life. I've sat with my dad.
Neither have I.
When he was ploughing years ago, and it was born a sin, like. So, no, I just don't think I would have the finesse or the skill for ploughing.
Fair enough. Okay.
But I would like to try and be as self-sufficient as possible.
Fuck, you're in a lot of debt.
Well, you think about it. If you're paying a contractor to come in and do your grass, right? And you say you're doing, it's probably what, 75, 85 pound an acre at the minute, like.
No, I can.
So you're doing 70. You're probably 6,007. Say 6,500 your first cut, 5,500 your second cut, and 4,000 your third cut. So there's 16 grand in 1 year.
Yeah.
You still need your own tractors for your own farm anyway.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So you could get a couple.
So you're banking then that you'll have time with your robot that you'll be fit to go and do this.
Yes. And you can sort of, like, you could go and do 40 acres one day and 40 acres another day. That's all you'd be doing. You'd be doing it over 2 days. But and I seen this year with when we were doing Devlin's silage versus doing yours. Devlin's was, I think, we only done something like, between I landed out after they'd done a wee acres around the house, and we done something like 20 acres. But we went into the house for tea and all that there. We talked about this already, but the pace was a lot slower. We were able to pick the weather a bit better rather than relying on a contractor who has many mouths to feed, I guess.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I liked about it, is being able just to pick your timing and going, right, sure, we'll go now.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
What would you do if you were starting off, like, on your tot, on your own?
So
same 100 acres.
If it was me personally, I would look the market for probably see.
I wouldn't be against a second-hand robot either. You know, like an astronaut A4 or something like that. You know, like A5's the new one's even older. Astronaut A4.
To be honest, like we're going ideal world and all that crack. So, if you really want to make a go at it, probably look for a second-hand 10-a-side to 14-a-side parlour.
So you're still, after everything, like the way things have been, you're still. That's commendable. Fair play.
You could pick them up for what? Well, I've heard of ones buying a second-hand parlour for 20 grand. That's versus 150. Then,
well, I'm as I say, I'm still open to a second-hand astronaut. So call it.
You're
70.
still talking 100.
Okay, yeah, fair
something
enough.
Like that. You could be. I'm not sure with inflation and all that. So second-hand parlour, buildings obviously for it. Say you've a lot of ground around the house. I know this is going to sound like fucking the same usual crack. To start off,
but there's no other podcast talking about this.
Well, that's
just like I know for us.
I was going to say it maybe sound like same
old crack for us and same old crack we've talked about, but there's no other podcast talking about this.
You probably attempt to buy 40. Well, let me think. Probably buy 20 to 30 third calf cows.
Okay.
And buy, say, 30 fresh calved heifers.
Well, that would make sense with what you're doing.
Well, we're talking in theory, like, you'd probably only buy, like, say 20 or so, and then, say, 15, and then you would buy 15 or so bull heifers.
Mm-hmm.
So that would leave you with something to start with, and you'd obviously have a bit in the tank. And then you would obviously AI your bull heifers, and this is a lot of fucking work right enough. AI your bull heifers, and then obviously concentrating AI in your cows and your fresh calved heifers. Mm-hmm. So you're starting off with milk straight away, and then you have followers coming along.
And what breed would you be going for?
Probably British Friesian.
Just British Friesian?
Probably British Friesian.
Good hardy animal.
Hardy enough.
Yeah, good hardy animal.
Produce a decent amount of milk and that.
You wouldn't go for any of the Flackface or Norwegian Reds or anything like that?
Flackface getting a lot more popular because obviously hardier and you can get decent milk out of them, but
yes.
Whenever you're going for like a simple-ish system to begin with, then in regards,
what would you calve with? Aberdeen Angus or
no AI everything.
That's what I mean. Like, what would you AI with?
Probably Holstein or British Friesian bull. You would ideally like sex semen, and then
I see. So obviously you're going for followers, like you're going for replacement
more or less.
animals.
So you can build the herd up because obviously naturally cows are going to get problems and pass out and all that carry on, or die and all that carry on. In regards to silage, would I go Beal or Pitt? Probably.
Say you could design your own pit to what you needed. This is why I said I'd put all the cuts in one pit. I'd have a long, narrow pit.
Long, narrow pit?
Yes. So the grass is never on show for that long. You're always cutting into it.
Obviously you can edit out, I suppose. Hopefully not. No, say for handiness, I would probably go bales and try the 4 cuts a year.
You would do? Okay, interesting.
Cheaper.
Are bales cheaper though?
Well, 3 or 4 bales to acre versus, or we'll say 4 to 5 bales to acre versus, that's 50 quid versus 80.
Yeah.
And then,
see, this is the thing. I would get no pleasure in paying a contractor £80 an acre to take half a load off an acre, with light grass. So
probably would go bales. Yes, they're not as consistent as a pit, but in ideal terms, like, it costs obviously money to put up a pit.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd save it in the bales, feed the bales. I'd have an outer parlour feeder for the cow. Obviously, you're pumping probably whatever through the things. I wouldn't have a diet feeder. So it'd feed bales.
You wouldn't have a diet feeder.
And then
I actually don't know if I'd have a diet feeder either.
You'd have to have outer parlour feeders then. If you can't pump like more really than, well, I suppose with astronauts obviously your cow's visiting about 3 or 3.5 times a day.
Mm-hmm.
But like you can't pump 15 to 20 kilos into a cow just in a parlour.
No. You'd need to have a.
You'd need to have
an outer power feeder. That's right. But I don't think I would go for. I would just go for a shear grab and just push them on. The only thing is, like, you're doing that if you're feeding the cattle. If you've got robots, the cattle are getting that every day.
Aye.
But there's only 50 cattle, so it's not actually a lot.
Well, it's, if obviously you need to make money out of it, you're going to hope that they're going to at least, well, you'd like to at least 10,000 litres a year.
Oh,
from a cow.
Yeah.
So,
I just don't know if I would go for that feeder.
Well, not everybody does. There are a bit more, I suppose, rare farms that don't have them.
I'll tell you why. Well, I would consider going for a debt feeder, but the only thing is, this is assuming you have the setup for it, and that is if you were to buy in your own grain, and you were able to sort of make your own batches, and you put that in the debt feeder along with silage. So you'd be putting in, say, a bit of maize along with some barley or wheat or whatever, along with silage, and kind of making your own sort of mash. That is where I think a diet feeder, I would really, really come in for a diet feeder. But see, just a diet feeder to chop up silage and throw a bit of meal on top. If they're getting an outer, if they've got outer parter feeders anyway, that's where I just wouldn't really see too much. All you're feeding is mixed up silage from a diet feeder, like.
Oh no, well it chops it like finer.
I know, but I know it does that too, like, but I just think you'd be as well just going on with shear grab and dosing it in.
Well, it's just the fact, I suppose, that diet feeders cost money.
Would you buy a bale feeder, like a wee one of them bale on wrapper things? They actually look like a deadly job.
Do you mean like the Tango bale splitters?
No.
Or do you mean the hustlers?
Yeah, like a hustler.
To be fair, probably would.
They look like a great job. Still a bit labour intensive.
Well, not really. I mean, put a bale out in 2 minutes. But then again, you wouldn't need it. All you have to do is shake the bale out with a telehandler.
I struggle. I can't do that.
You need to just watch me out, fella, do it.
Probably. I'd say if I watched him, I know how. To be fair, I do use your trick now about taking off the wrap and all. The way he does it, I use it. I have that trick now.
Yes.
I've got that down because that's
like
how
all you would need to do is flick. Would have been as handy for you to do. Would have been flick it out for the 4 or 5, and then all you had to do is push it in, like I said before.
That's what I was.
It saves you gripping it. I
didn't mind the gripping. The gripping was okay. Like,
but work smart, not hard.
But you're burning diesel.
You're talking about that. And you're going to run your own silage outfit.
Just you have to save pennies somehow. What I'm saying is, you would still be buying a couple of tractors anyway.
Not necessarily, no.
No.
So, like if you're starting off straight away, say right, we've roughly, I do bale silage. I would have an out of a parlour and you'd work away. You'd build up the herd to try and have, say, 70 or 80 after, say, a few years. Probably wouldn't happen. You'd probably still have like 50 or 60.
Yeah.
And you'd be continuing like with replacements, calving them down and all that. And they obviously all cost money too. In regards to a tractor, yes, in the ideal world, you'd love something like an 8340. You're talking like 30 grand for one.
But that's still cheaper than a newer.
Yes.
Pardon me, that's still cheaper than a newer tractor.
I probably would spend a bit of money, and I would try and definitely get a telehandler, but they're extortionate money too. So one tractor and a telehandler. Tractor the size that does all, and then a telehandler, because I do, like as Emmett Sherry says, tractors are for tractoring.
Yeah,
telehandlers are some job. Whenever you get onto one,
and you'd only have the one tractor.
Like at the end of the day, I would get a contractor to do silage and slurry, because if you have that number of cows, that's a full-time job, never mind doing anything else. Because yes, I understand that people are thinking whenever they get a robot in, you have more time to yourself and all that crack. But it's
also 24/7 tied as well.
It's not even that. It's the fact that, like whenever you put a robot in, like the ones that I've seen are very successful. I'm not putting anybody down. Is you've obviously time then to manage your cow. Like if you're put like, it allows you that you can see the metrics of everything to do with them.
Yeah.
You know, like no matter how good a herringbone parlour ever becomes or rotary, they're starting to, in regards to software, I think, get to the level of what a robot can tell you.
Yeah, but
they're not,
your parlour's phenomenal. Like.
But it still doesn't tell you the actual to the degree of a robot. And I'll fully admit that. Like a robot in theory can give you a good insight as to when a cow's getting sick and different things like that.
Yeah,
you know, don't get me wrong, like so can
I feel like your parlour you could probably, if you understood, like if you probably watched it enough, like you would do. I feel like you could probably figure that out with your parlour. If you look at the trends and stuff, you'd probably be able to tell.
Well, yes, technically, but at the same time, you haven't, like, what's the best way to put it?
The information's not presented maybe as clearly as it would be with a robot.
Like conductivity there from a robot, when you watch that, it'll flag it to you. Whereas if you're in a parlour, you can't do a conductivity reading, because instead of 4 individual milkers, it's 1 milker from the 4 quarters.
Yes.
That's silly things like that. But so you know, your 8 parlour feeders, bale silage, tractor and a telehandler, and then I would outsource silage and slurry, as I've said, fertiliser, probably buy a wee fertiliser spreader,
wee wagtail or something
like that, or a spinner, and then I would probably, obviously your normal attachments like a bucket, pallet forks, bale spike, buy a bale trailer to bring your bales home. And what else different would I do? Excuse me. Probably, to be fair, after that, having now knowledge like since this last couple of years, I would say you would have things, try and have things rightly paid off as quick as possible, and then
100%.
go for like 15 aside part of all bells and whistles on it, and means not that you're milking any, or like, you know, basically upgrade the parlour that is automatic everything, so it can tell you more stuff, because if you're buying a second hand parlour 99% of the time, that you know, you don't have all the gizmos on it, if you get me.
Yeah, of course. But it milks your cattle, which at the start, that's all you want.
Pretty much. Like,
and you're probably better off learning your herd with as little help as possible, if that makes sense, because then you know what to watch out for, rather than
the first month
parlour going danger cow number 3 or something like that.
The first month that we were in with a new one, because none of the stuff was turned on so the cow could actually get used to the environment, never mind some shouting stuff out on it. It was an experience for, because of the way the parlour was done, and there was a dung guard put there, you couldn't see the freeze brand of the cow, and you had to know the cow by the udder, which you do get onto.
I can see that, but you're not going to.
There's only so many variations of what way an udder could look.
Yeah,
teats.
Yeah, so you'll have ones that you'll nearly know, because like 3-titter, or maybe like an extra one or something like that there, you know, or
other than that, depending on the ground condition, I would obviously reseed the ground and bring it up to scratch over time. And real, like, in regards to calving the cows, I have seen that block calving does work, because, well, like all year round calving, you'd have to do that regardless.
Yeah,
you couldn't block calve.
No.
With a robot, like you need constant milk flow to go into them,
and then that ties you in another way. So although you're not tied to maybe getting up every morning at a certain time, you're tied with cows calving and needing to be home for the likes of that.
Whereas I would say probably autumn calving would suit. Like,
would you adopt a kind of an approach similar to what you've seen in Waterford?
Do the opposite side of things. So we'll go autumn, because the things I seen about it was, like, you have all your labour concentrated in whatever number of weeks. So all your cows are calved. and then you have coming into your winter bonus for your milk. You'll have as much of a milk pool as you'll ever have, and you're getting as much of money for it with a winter bonus and that. And then it's whenever the cows hit grass, technically they should get a second life to a certain extent. It's a slightly dearer way of doing it because obviously you'll be feeding them more, and it's all depending on your silage quality. In theory, with the bales, you could feed a bit drier.
Yes.
And every bale will be different, but as long as you bring it in better, you've less wastage with it.
Yeah.
So technically more bang for your buck.
Yes.
And then it means that you'd be probably drying off bar sort of well, you probably have to dry off everything, and you'd have a free summer then.
You'd have a free summer?
Technically.
Well, you say that, but that's what you'd be putting in.
All you had to do is feed. No, they'd be out of grass. You would more or less have a free summer. You'd be drying off for 2 months of the summer.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, though, if you've debt to pay, it would be a bit fucking awkward because you'd have no cash flow coming in. But at the end of the day, whenever the cows all calved down, you'd have the extra money from the winter bonus.
So if you were able to manage your money.
Plus, if you needed relief, you only really need proper help. You'd be flat out, calving all the time for a winter weeks. And then you'd have to do all year round with a robot for needing the milk pool.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but one thing I've always been told about robots is, yes, the idea of them is nice, but you do need somebody there full time.
Yeah. I completely agreed. Because if something happens with the robot, something jams or something sticks or something, even like the spray tank, they clean them up after and needs chemical added to it or water added to it or whatever. Someone needs to be able to be there to do that. Or if you've a cow jammed. That's the thing. A robot could wake you up at 3 o'clock in the morning because
I have it. Everybody I know among a lot of the older generation seem to think, they're this, that, and the other. They suit certain people.
I think a robot, you need to have patience with a robot. A robot, you're probably looking at maybe 2 years with a robot minimum before most of your herd gets used to it, and then
no, you wouldn't be 2 years.
You on there? I would say so, because and then the thing is,
the worst case scenario, 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, but you'll still have teething issues and ironing out problems and new things coming up that you haven't seen before.
Because if you have, say you bought in a few sort of springing heifers in.
Yeah.
So they're obviously going to calve down.
Yeah.
You can put them into the robot in a training program, and that'll learn them what to do. So they'll naturally do it whenever they don't know anything else. Whereas if you were
that's why I said you go for heifers. That's why I said that.
So springing, you wouldn't buy calf down heifers then.
The only thing that would scare me about that is you've to make silage, and you've to make silage for cattle that you're not even going to get any cash flow out of. Or at least if they're springing, I know
you buy them in for when you're starting those. So you've milk coming in to pay debt and buy silage, or to make silage. See, probably the best way to start dairying, if you wanted to, and this is only my opinion, and I know fuck all, so take it with a pinch of salt, is you'd buy a lot of calves and you'd rear them.
Yes.
And then you'd get them AI'd, and then you have all your stuff ready. Now, you'd still be in a job, but you're just obviously having to feed them.
Yeah.
And then you'd have them calving down when things are ready to go.
Yeah. And then
so
put them straight to the burner.
Bought, so you're buying calves for £300 or £400, and you buy a lot of them. Yes, it's still money, but
you still have to feed them.
You're still in a job.
For the first while, yes. Here's another question.
What's that?
And you've done about this year, would you save a few acres and do your own barley? So get a bit of feed, a bit of grain, and get your own straw. But a year like this year where straw is catastrophically expensive.
The only reason we put in something into that ground was because grass seed was never going to work in it at that time.
Oh, really?
So it was the winter wheat was basically just put into it because the weather was that terrible, and it was literally one passed into it, hope it grows, and it did.
It did grow.
So it was ploughed, and it was need to get something under the ground so we're not actually screwing ourselves over. And it didn't do unbelievably, but it did do quite well.
So this is why I was wondering,
like if we had a way of, you know, like we obviously got it milled in that there, but you would have to get a nutritionist out to try and see how you'd work the feed.
Aye, if there's anything really benefits. Or can you sell that feed?
Oh, you could.
You could sell it, right?
I think.
Right. But you would keep...
Don't know the ins and outs
you would
of
keep a right bet. The straw's £100 a bale in some cases at the minute. So if you had your own bales this year, which I'm assuming you have, although it's costing you money, obviously...
But we still got square bales as well.
Oh, did you get that round?
No, we still had to buy.
Oh, aye, that's what I'm meaning. Did you get your own straw round baled?
Yes.
Why?
Why? Mm-hmm. That's what
Conor
contractor had.
Yeah, that's what Conor has.
There's probably very little difference in straw and round and square bales.
Aye, probably. Another question I suppose I have is, me and you can obviously tell we come from the certain part of the country where we do, because it's all grassland farming. So it's all cattle, silage. If you were ever given the option, would you ever entertain any form of arable? Like spuds? If say I said your ground was, you could feed cattle on it, or your ground was quite good for spuds, just because of where you're at, would you entertain the likes of potatoes or anything like that?
Wouldn't entertain spud, no.
You wouldn't entertain spuds at all? What about any form of vegetables? Something I don't know much about. I used to work for a fella for a while over the summer, and he did broccoli and cauliflower. I was on a small scale, you know, planter. You were like literally you were sitting on behind a planter, and it had a wee spinning disc, and you used to drop the seedlings in, and it just planted them on the ground.
If you're doing the likes of that, I would imagine you'd be better with beef cattle, because you're not like. I suppose dairy cattle are sort of like, if you want to get the production out of them, they're like looking after weigh-ins.
Yeah.
Something, they obviously can't tell you what's wrong with them. And there's always you know, like
a stroppy brat.
It's not even that there. Like it doesn't matter how much you know. There's always something different, and when I mean they're like weigh-ins is, well, a weigh-in can't tell you exactly what's wrong, and just say, you know, it can tell you the bare minimum, and you just have to sort of figuring out and different other things like that. But
I'll tell you another reason why I quite like the dairy versus the beef is if you've got dairy cattle, you've a cash flow.
You do.
With beef, you can do it one or two ways. You can buy them in, like the way I do. You buy them in as calves, you rear them, you sell them 18 months later, whatever, and they're 24 months old, whatever, and maybe 27, 28 months, depending on what age you buy them at. So you aren't like, now, if you're doing it right, you'd have two separate batches. But realistically, you're only getting maybe paid this big payout once a year on your actual cattle, and then obviously you get your single farm payment, but you're only getting that paid if you do it a certain way. The way a few beef men do it around here is they're constantly buying cattle, keeping them for 3 months because they get the farm quality assurance on it, and then they go. So at any one stage, they could have, like, you know, they might only take 150 acres, but throughout a year, they could have 1,500 cattle pass through their yard.
So they're buying stores and then...
But at any one time, they might have 300 animals, and basically all their ground is being silaged. Like, so all 150 acres is being cut.
Yeah.
And they're cutting it first cut, second cut, and third cut.
Yeah.
So obviously you get more of a yield.
If you're doing that there, you'd ideally like to be in a contract with Albufeira.
Well, that's what
that you have to provide so many animals every week.
That's what the likes of boys are doing. But that, to me, that means you're spending your life.
But like, then you're hoping that cattle price is half decent. That whenever you take it to abattoir, it's, you know, that you're getting good money for it.
To me though, that kind of life is, I like seeing cattle grow. Like, I like rearing cattle. Like, see the way I had mine this year, like last couple of years, and you've had them from calves and bringing them full. Like, that's very wholesome. I quite like that. That suits me as a part-time farmer.
Yes.
But
so would you rather do that in theory or dairying?
I would rather. This is what I'm saying with dairying is you do see those animals grow. And this is why if it was a full-time thing, I would do it with dairy animals, because you do see them grow and you rear them up and you bring them through. Whereas with beef, I think to be in beef farming full-time, you need to be in that game where you're constantly buying and shifting, which means you're spending most of your time in the mart, which would not entertain me one bit.
So, your robot herd, would you go pedigree or non-pedigree?
I wouldn't really be too worried about pedigree.
Well, I suppose you couldn't be pedigree with your dollar mixture.
No, it wouldn't really bother me as long as I was getting good enough like litres of milk and your numbers were all dead on, your cell count was low enough, etc.
Yeah.
You're hitting your targets. I wouldn't really be too arsed about, even with beef farming, I wouldn't really be too arsed about pedigree, because I had thought about this and had said, if I was to go again, would I buy more just whatever you get, dolly mixture as you say, or would you go for less and spend a bit more and buy pedigree animals and have a bit more ground maybe spare?
Yeah.
I think I would just go for the dolly mixture again, because they're cheaper to buy. You don't sell them for as much, but unless you're going to shows and you've that extra commitment of going to shows and having to kind of market your cattle in a way, and again, that's just not something I could be arsed with. And I think if you're doing pedigree and you like the idea of showing them and cleaning them up, and
you have to show if your pedigree all the same,
but it helps.
It's more, like I say, it's more of a hobby.
But I think you have to have that sort of interest in that sort of thing if you're pedigree. And I think people who, like, unless you're a very well-known person, like, who is known to have a lot of money about them, and therefore you can just buy good animals. Say you've made a fortune on the oil rigs and you have at any one time 300 pedigree limousines in your yard, and you're buying the best in the country, and you're known to go to Carlisle and spend a fortune on great bulls, then maybe you don't need a show because you've got the name. But I think for the likes of a Joe Blogs like me or you, to go in and get into it and you only have a couple of pedigree animals, you need to start doing showing. And I have no care for that. I have no interest in doing that whatsoever.
Well, that's true.
Maybe not an angle you were looking at for that, but this is why I wanted to have this conversation, because you could go off in many tangents. It's interesting, like me and you are sitting here now, again, because we're both grassland farmers, given where we come from, there's not really much else we can do.
Well, in regards to the pedigree side of things, like, you could, take a lot, like, with the pedigree side of things, your cattle technically would be valued better, because
yes,
they obviously, I don't know enough about it, like, because we never personally worked, but bought pedigree animals, and like in theory could be another income stream. Not that you would have to show them, but you could sell them in the mart. Farmer's happy, he wants to come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then over time, it's another income stream by selling heifers and bulls.
And that is true, but you still have to, and I think to do certain things, you have to be part of all these clubs. I think you have to be involved with all this stuff and all as well. Like, I mean, it's enough when you've got Red Tractor and FQAS and all that stuff without having to go to limousine cattle, pedigree limousine owners clubs meets and all this thing. I sound like I'm talking about cars, but do you know what I mean? Like, and going to all them meetings and all as well. Like, I just don't know if I'd want to do any of that. Maybe I would, I don't know, but as it stands here now, I don't think I would have any interest in that, and that's why, for me, pedigree, I wouldn't really be too worried about. You would be a happy man with the cows milking through a robot and doing silage. Yes. That, for me, I love seeing, although I'm a machinery man at heart, like you're saying here, I'm happy enough with a tractor and a loader, and I'm sitting going, jeez, I would love a Fiat 110 obviously, and a TM, and maybe like a wee 1394 case or an 880 Fiat or something. I'm very much defining the machinery because I am very machinery driven, but I do love rearing cattle. I do love seeing cattle kind of growing up from a calf the full way up to an adult animal. Like mine are going to the market tomorrow, and that's probably another reason why I'm a wee bit down. I'm actually kind of sad about it because I don't have that many animals. So
No,
Like,
well, it's true. Like they're
4 pets to me. Like,
well, we had obviously like at home there we're down with TB, and I lost 2 animals. We lost 2 animals, and let's just say that
they're always the fucking good ones.
yeah,
Yeah, they're always the good ones.
Annoyingly.
They're always the big
But
leader.
another thing is, like, they come into the parter, you realise that they had good yields,
Uh-huh.
and then you looked out for them, and then it's like anything, like, whenever you're actually the person that sees them every day, it's only natural you're going
You
to
can give them a wee ear scratch or something like that there, you know.
Well, they would not allow it.
Oh, really?
No. They only don't, like, Colleen the cow, as I call her now, if the mini version, the big version, she stands at the front of the milking parlour watching me milk, but I think it's more that she's just eating the meal that happens to fall out of the front of the feeders. But look, I'll just say myself that she's standing there watching myself, but of course she built an emotional attachment with him.
100%. And, like, there's something not right with that camera.
So everyone,
We have had technical difficulties. I don't know what the fuck's happening in the camera.
Camera keeps on telling us that the memory's full, so
We're gonna
move on to Michael's
just the shoutouts. Just the shoutouts, because you don't write anything down and I do.
No, I've had a very unfortunate event happen to me there recently.
Oh, what's that?
So, before, like, I would have said, follow me on Instagram and stuff. At, like,
fuck aye.
At Conor.magoo and that,
Yeah.
you know. But you'll see very little of it this last couple of years. Well, so, to show you how much I use Instagram, to say the least, I think I got hacked. Must have got hacked anyway, because it started. I'd sent 100 Russian people messages in Russia,
Nice.
in Russian,
Nice.
and last time I checked, I
You don't speak Russian, so remember, no Russian.
But then that was grand. Changed password and made the account private and all that different things of the day, right? And then the day just randomly just went on to the Instagram.
Mhm.
I was like, "Geez, that's wild funny looking." You know, it was like the last photo up is of the polo.
2016.
No, I was like, "Fuck, what year is this? 2016." And I was like,
That's mental.
"Geez, it's where I never had a type R or anything."
The only reason I didn't think anything strange about it is because I know how little you post, and then it was all the tagged posts.
It was at the top.
Yeah.
No, that's why I never seen it.
So it was all the tag posts.
So
That's,
yeah,
that's fucking mad.
It looks like I have not lived for 8 years now. And I've,
Yeah, just randomly came
so
out of the
I'm
woodwork.
definitely a transformer now because there's no photos of me at all.
Aye, right enough.
So-
There's like nothing.
If anybody decides to follow me and you think he actually doesn't post, I
You did at one point.
occasionally post it,
Well,
and
now that's all been deleted.
then the worst of it is the cringy posts that were at the bottom are now higher up because
Yeah.
they're easier to scroll to.
Yeah, of course.
God.
What a balls.
It's
That's
not even.
that's a one-wheel pid for sure.
No,
You're
but
good
anyway,
that
sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I'm really, really conscious about the way the camera's acting
Yes.
up here.
So,
So
3,
I got
2,
pulled
1.
there at Granard, a lad company. He goes, he's like, Michael, and I was like, well, he goes, I listened to the podcast, and I was like, right, what's the crack? I go, sure, write down your name. So I was like, I'll give you a shout out. He goes, oh, that'd be deadly. So Reese Q Hall. And then he said, actually, could you give a shout out to my mate Donna McGrath in Australia? He listens as well, so fair play for the
Happy
Australian
days. Thank
boys.
you very much for listening.
I bumped into Darren Finnery.
Yeah,
Yeah, big Darren. He was there. He was wearing the hoodie.
lovely.
Very, very buzzing about that. Did you see Darren there with the hoodie on?
No,
Really? He was over, I'm going to say, the east side of the track.
oh, for fuck's sake, never eat shredded.
He
wheat.
was
God
there.
knows.
He was there. So we could chat to him for a while. But I didn't realise that Darren has a mullet. And so whenever he's, because I literally Snapchat Darren every day. And whenever I seen him, I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Darren. But you never want to call someone the wrong name. And I've accidentally done it with Darren Finnery by accidentally calling him Darren Farley before. So I was like, just write. I was like, do you want to write your name in there? He goes, it's Darren Finnery. And I goes, I know. I was like, but that was just me basically making sure it was you, because like I just don't want to get mixed up with people. It was the same as I've seen it a couple of times. Like, it just you know who someone is, but you just have to be. You don't want to call them the wrong name, and then because then it's just awkward.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then I was actually I was on the road for work, and I pulled in at a place in Oma, and I was chatting to Ryan Kelly at the time, and I sent him a Snapchat, and I was like, I actually think I'm in your part of the country here at the minute, and sent him a Snapchat of where I was, and then got out of the pickup and jumped out and looked behind me, and Ryan's car was parked, and I was at Ryan's work, and I took a Snapchat and went, okay, I'm definitely in your part of the world. And he goes, I was just going to snap back and say, you're literally parked in front of my car. So I was chatting with him for a bit, and then I forgot to mention this. Reason we were with Sam Cole, and I kind of refer to this then too, is bought an 8340 turbo for the 110. And then when I was in Ryan's part of the country, I was able to go and call in with MDE. And I have a 130/90 manifold now for the Fate as well.
Nice.
So probably should have thrown that at the start, but kind of forget all these things. Yeah. And finally, Reese Bruce has sent me an off-road jack. A fella had like a jack on rubber tires. Cool. He was like, "Can your jack do this?" And it was him going over like all this terrain. And I was like, "That's actually quite good. That would work." But anyway, I'm shitting myself here for this camera to die out again. So I think we'll call it to a close. Apologies for a very, very cobbled together, rough and ready podcast, folks. But pardon me, wanted to get something out this week. Hadn't really planned for much. Things have been a fucking mess recently. Conor's also been away.
Did you miss me?
Of course. Do you know what? This sounds bad, but I actually did. Because on Saturday before my tyre blew out, I was in the Sierra and I was like, oh fuck, I might call out and see Conor because we're heading to Toom to get 99. Yeah. And then I was like, oh no, he's away. Oh. So like, yeah, I'm somewhat institutionalised to your presence. But anyway, so to end this rather...
See, that's the thing. You could end up landing out to mine unannounced.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever landed out to yours unannounced.
I think you have.
When?
I fuck knows, but you have at some point. So... I'm still staring at this here timer, just being like, please don't shut. So.
Well, just so that Michael doesn't shut himself too much further, thank you very much if you've got to the end of this podcast. It's been really good telling you everything about farming and about Michael's troubles and my disaster. No, not disaster. Me being in Albufeira and...
King of the Rings in as well. So
King of the Rings, sorry as well. Yes.
I actually really enjoyed that main topic, not gonna lie. That was the perk up I needed, to be honest.
I went in a fucking wee... I know, it was good.
But it was good information. I was trying to learn stuff off you on the fly there.
Were you?
100%.
Oh, right. I wouldn't read too. I'm no fucking agricultural textbook.
Oh, fuck, well, there am I. But this way, I would love to get someone who's involved, like a spud farmer or someone like that on. But Barry Briley would be great, but he'd never come on. Oh, he does listen though.
Oh, happy
Barry
days.
listens.
So not to cut things short, but just because technical difficulties, and you've had a handling before with them.
Yep.
Thank you very much for listening. If you're on YouTube, please like the videos, comment. We don't respond. We see them. And
I normally end up responding on my own account.
Yes, he does. Subscribe if you like the stuff. We're not far away from 900 subscribers.
Nope, not far away from 900 at all.
If you're listening to Spotify, hope you enjoyed.
We're up at near 10,000 listens a month. So that's pretty good going on Spotify.
Thank you very much.
So thank you very much for that. Also, we both are wearing new merch, which you're not going to see much of. Conor is wearing the new gilet. Well, soft shell like body warmer, and I am wearing the new design hoodie, which you're not going to see the back of because it's against the seat. But we're both prototyping these. We like to wear everything before we actually go on ahead and sell them. So just in case there's a couple of things we think aren't right, we can get them ironed out with CPE and get them sorted out. So on that note, Conor, what we call it?
But first of all, sorry, before we go anywhere, if you like what you see and you want to see small snippets of it and us making Egypts, it's TikTok, Instagram and Facebook at Limitless Slip Differences.
Everything's at Limitless Slip Differences.
Yes. So thank you very much, folks, and all the best.
Best luck. Thank you.
That's fucking 25-1.